People actually genuinely buy from people, and that's why networking and building a relationship in your circle of influence is important.
I believe the opposite. You could be lovely, but if you don't have a solution to my problem, I'm probably not going to buy it.
Yeah, see, I fundamentally disagree with that.
People buy from people. Let's simplify that. People will open the door to someone and have a conversation, and if they like them, then you can move the conversation further, and that's when that starts to shift.
Before we kick off today's episode, I've got a few recommendations for you. First recommendation I've got for you is to take your commission more seriously, and the only way to really do that effectively is to deal with Carl at Conquest. Carl and the team really have their finger on the pulse with everything to do with commissions for your business, how much your guys are going to earn, how much they're currently tracking to earn, what your competitors are paying, what competitive landscape is out there, what your commission structure should look like. If you want to take commission seriously, and doing so will attract the right talent to your business and increase performance, get in touch with Carl at Conquest. Another recommendation I've got for you is Ben Fielding at Quinset. Now, we know in 2025 and onwards, email deliverability is more important than it's ever been before. With so much spam and junk mail and the amount of outreach messages that just don't land where they're meant to, sometimes your agency messages can get lost in the shuffle. You don't want to be in the junk mail. You don't want to be outside of the focused inbox. You don't want to be sending interview invites and having to ask your prospects and your candidates to check their junk. So if you want to sort that problem out and you want to continue to grow and scale your recruitment business, get in touch with Ben Fielding at Quinset. My next recommendation to you is Ross Thompson and the team at Infinity Staff Global. Infinity Staff Global are an employer of record who specialise in finding you staff based out in South Africa, but that work for you. Outsourcing and offshoring is the secret to growing and scaling a recruitment business in 2025 and onwards. And I highly recommend that you consider South African staff for your recruitment business, be it in a sales capacity, i.e. 180 or 360 degree recruiters, be it marketing, be it administrative functions, back office support, anything that you might need for your recruitment agency. Get in touch with Ross and the team on the details in the description. The final recommendation I've got for you is Matt Fox at Exitus Advisory. Exitus Advisory was born out of Matt's journey selling his recruitment business. Along the way, the journey was incredibly difficult. There was a lot of forwards and backwards. There was things that he wished he knew back then that would have changed some of the things that he did with his business. So Matt set up Exitus to help recruitment businesses be exit ready. This is not an overnight thing, and the last thing you want to be doing is having to exit your business, not because you want to, but because you have to. So if you're looking to plan an exit in 3 to 5 years' time, Matt Fox is the guy you need to be speaking to.
Welcome back to the first ever Rec Talk Roundtable Masterclass. This is a series that we're going to be kicking off to bring our audience insights from all the experts that I have the misfortune and pleasure of spending time with and listening to their insights and their market knowledge and that kind of thing. We figured let's bring them all together. What a better way to kick off 100,000 subscribers on YouTube than to bring some of our nearest and dearest and our best guys together. Thank you very much. Guys, let's go around, introduce ourselves for those of you who don't know, those of our audience who don't know who you guys are. But also, if you would like to give us something that has worked well with the relationship you guys have got with Rec Tools and Rec Talk, because I never asked for testimonials and I've been told I really need to start doing that. So, which way should we go around?
Ladies first.
Hi, Poonam Mawani, Director of Azuki Accounts. Azuki does back office for recruiters, so everything finance. We've been part of Rec Tools for about 6 months. We've done podcasts, we've done lots of collabs and things together. What I think is particularly great is particularly topics that we have felt that it's been hard to convey on LinkedIn or blogs or whatever, that we've been able to actually have a really meaningful discussion about and show that actually this is our expertise, this is what we're really good at, and actually the pros and cons and things, and from our perspective what our recommendations are. And that's been a really good platform for us to showcase what Azuki does.
Great, thank you very much.
Hi everyone, Ben Fielding, informally that email guy, formerly Director of Quinset, we're email deliverability specialists. This podcast has been amazing for me, exactly the same reason. There's only so much you can put on a landing page or on an email you send out or 20 seconds you might have when you meet someone at an event, but the opportunity to kind of dive into from not my perspective to be quiz, challenge, questions asked by yourself, and then be able to kind of play that out has been amazing. And the feedback I've had from people listening to, I've heard about you, and then I saw the podcast. Now I get it. We need your help. So it's been amazing for us.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you, mate.
Hey everyone, I'm Jeremy Snell. I am the founder of Rookie to Recruiter, which is an augmented L&D platform for recruitment consultants to be able to find the fuel to help them to improve performance. I don't actually know how I've been part of this ecosystem because it feels like forever. I feel really embedded in it.
You were one of the early adopters.
Yeah, and the value that I get from not just the visibility of being able to be on the podcast, but actually the value I get talking about my business in the context of your questions actually helps me to understand my business better too. Well, I find that really useful to talk out loud about it with you, because you ask me questions that other people don't. And back to say, it was because of this podcast or this moment in conversation. So yeah, it's super level.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
Ross Thompson from Infinity Staff Global. Yes, I'm the lone Australian selling a South African products outsourced. So yes, do a lot of flyer miles, and I'm the frequent flyer on the room. So yeah, we started with you about 6 months ago. We did our first podcast, and to be honest with you, we got immediate return on investment. We got several client leads from that. So we've actually now put that first podcast on our website, and all of our proposals link into that podcast. So yeah, every time somebody's looking at our product, they're actually watching that first podcast, and we've just recorded our second one, which goes live after this one, hopefully. And yeah, can't recommend it enough.
I appreciate yours. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Matt Fox. I'm the MD of Exitus Advisory and Polaris Growth. I guess from my perspective, it's been great being part of Rec Talks, because I think everybody who runs a business or a service provider, within the group really knows their stuff, and I've found that the conversations that we've all had have been really valuable. I think look, in our industry, nobody really likes to be sold to, right? So I think that actually through opening up a lot of these conversations, what people are able to do is kind of help each other to kind of discuss and add credibility to what they do. And if that results in, sort of potential clients or sort of recruitment business owners wanting to reach out to any of us, then that's great. But actually, I've made some really nice friends and connections through this as well. So certainly, I couldn't see myself not being part of it.
Thank you, mate. Really, thank you very much. I want to thank you guys because about 2 years ago, things were awful, and I was in a position where I was kind of like, I don't know what to do, and I don't know which way to go, whether what I'm doing is the right thing or not. And actually, every single one of you has played a massive part in sort of shaping the direction of where I've taken this and where I'm planning to take this even further and that kind of thing. So without you guys, without people watching, listening, subscribing, and actually allowing kind of our platform to exist and get out there, none of this would be happening. So I want to say thank you to you guys, and I'm looking forward to what we do next. That's enough of the sobby shit. I'm going to cut there so that GJ and Amber can fill their boots with like, soundbite. Let's talk about some real stuff. Let's talk about the industry right now. We kicked off this year with a discussion around kind of this level of optimism that existed in the market. And I remember specifically saying to you, I don't get it, because people are almost like, I can't wait for 24 to be over, 25 is going to be my year. And January 1st is just an arbitrary date. Like nothing had changed. Politically, economically speaking, nothing had changed at all. Yet there was this air of optimism. And then that almost bled into a level of kind of positive performance. There were interviews happening, there were placements being made. And then all of a sudden things sort of dipped off, and we've been in this sort of state of depression almost. How have you guys found this year for the clients that you're working with, and sort of what, how much of what I'm saying is echoed in that way or contrasted to that?
I'll start.
Go on.
So I get insights.
You had a lot
into-
to say when we weren't rolling.
Yeah, shut me up's normally the problem. The insights I get inside recruitment agencies is quite unique because we start off looking at email deliverability, and then we start to look at the technical challenge they've got, and gives me insights into the kind of technical capabilities and support around. Then it really gets into the marketing side of things as well. So if everyone's just specking 100%, and there's no kind of brand awareness, there's not a lot of focus on marketing, but if you're maybe specking is marketing. The other ones, so well, we were doing marketing, we were doing events, and we were doing proper newsletter type things, we were sponsoring this and the other, but okay, well, you're on the journey, and then you meet the ones that are very mature, like we run webinars, face-to-face, breakfast networking, industry white papers. They're up there, they've got valuable content to be sharing out. The problem is, the ones that are on the journey, I've seen, they're the ones that are cutting marketing. I was always told, if you've got a business that's doing this, you've got £100 left in the bank, spend every penny on marketing. Like, channel everything, get visible, because that's the only way you're getting your business. Bring everyone you've ever sold to before and try and sell to them again, but be visible. So I think the ones that they're cutting around ops, and then they're obviously cutting salespeople, and then they're cutting his marketing constantly. Like, are you sure that's the right thing to be doing? So I think
That's really interesting, and I'd like your guys' thoughts on that concept, right? Businesses not doing very well. I was going to say tanking them, but like that'd be off-putting. And you've got your last £100 to spend, and I've heard that, and I probably would be inclined to do exactly that. Chuck that £100 in marketing. You had a recruitment business that did incredibly well, and you're, a statistic in the one of the very few people who actually managed to successfully exit. Would you have done that? Would you have chucked it into marketing?
No offence. I wouldn't, and I think that's what makes us all unique, isn't it? The fact that we have maybe different views on that. If I had £100 left in the bank, I'd probably go out and buy some more. I don't know, some more minutes for my phone or whatever it would be, and I'd spend it. I'd
put it
spend
on cold outreach or sales,
and I would be, and this is something that we as an industry at the moment we're just not doing enough of, because there are so many tools out there that we can use at the moment. Obviously, I'm sure we're going to talk about AI. Everyone is at the moment. I'm sure that's going to come up in a moment. But when I talk about and think about visibility, to me that means how much am I, and I'm going to use the expression, please forgive me, touching my clients. How much am I actually out there in front of them? And how much time. And the only way I'm going to do that is by turning up, banging on the door. A lot of businesses have got clients all over the place, which presents a bit of a challenge. Unless you've got Ross's air miles. But I'm going to get on the phone. I'm going to get on because no one's picking up the phone, and it is difficult to get through to people with home working and all the rest of it.
Right.
But and at the risk of sounding like an old granddad, we do need to do more of that, because there's a lot of hiding behind emails going on.
Well, I want to talk to specifically your thoughts on this, the kind of lack of sales attitude in recruitment. But what would you, as an accountant, what would you recommend? With that last £100, are you saying put it in marketing, or are you saying no, pay my invoice actually?
Yeah, I mean, yes, pay your questions.
You know what I mean?
You'll need them one day.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Sales, but from you can do it. Sales is marketing, right? As in, let's flip it on its head. There is a way of using, particularly the technology nowadays. Sales is marketing, so just make it work for you, and all of that is personal branding. One of my clients did kind of some analysis when they had free time on where they were getting their leads and sales from, say in the post-COVID boom versus now, and it completely flipped on its head. While they would get things from existing clients, or they were getting things from referrals, now you had to work so much harder to get the same kind of leads and the same, and the makeup had changed. So it's like, let's not keep doing the same things and expecting different results. We have to change the narrative. You have to change the way we do things. So what is that? Is that new marketing sales techniques? Is that a new platform? And you have to know when to cut it off and go, right, this isn't working. I've tried it, it isn't working, and move on to something new. But you have to work hard for it now.
Yeah, do something different. Or what are you doing with that last £100?
I'm probably a split 50 to marketing and 50 getting on the phone. So because you can do as much marketing builds up your brand, but it's not going to be asking that question. There's no call to action in that marketing. So 50-50 split.
And Jez?
The 100,
Mm-hmm. What are you doing with that £100?
I'd spend it on generating some candidates to find out what's going on in the businesses they work at, to start a process of finding out what is invisible that everyone else is trying to find in the visible market, and just get ahead of everyone. If everyone's waiting for the job adverts to appear on the job board, if I'm calling them 2 weeks before because they haven't signed it off yet, then I'm talking to somebody about invisible data. So the more you can be in the invisible market, the better. So however that is, that's where my £100 goes.
So that's your true blend then, isn't it? That blended approach. It's going, actually, I'm going to do market research as my marketing, not outbound marketing and not just pure cold calling. Hey, you've got a job, give me a job. It's, okay, yeah, let me go and do my market research, invest that £100 in a spread of candidates, and then sell those candidates. So interesting.
I think that's it's kind of sort of testament to I suppose the blend of experience and different approaches there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everyone sat around the table I would regard as being really good in their own kind of businesses, if you like, and actually you've got a whole load of different views from all of us, really.
But the point is, there's never a right answer, is there? There's the right answer for you and your business. But
They play to your strengths. So
yeah.
And so everyone has a different strength, and there's no point in spending your last £100 on something you're shit at. Spend it on something that at least you've got a fighting chance of turning 100 into 250, because then you can do something with 250 rather than trying to put £100 into something you're trying to turn into 10 grand in one go.
Yeah, but the challenge is, like you were saying, clients having to pivot and do things slightly differently. If you've got a client, if you're in an industry where no one's hiring right now, you can't make the phone call going, are you hiring right now? You've got to make the phone call to go, let's talk about what the rest of the year looks like and position yourself ready for where they are hiring and just be visible and present. And
But even then, that conversation, why would they tell you? Right? People are egocentric. They're going to approach everything from a what's in it for me perspective. So this person I don't even know who works for a recruitment business rings me up and goes, "Oh, let's just talk about your planning, your hiring plans for the remainder of the year."
The reason I don't work in recruitment, right?
I'm not going to tell you. Why would I tell you? Do you know what I mean? But this is
The sales process has changed.
It definitely has.
Completely changed. The 21, 22, 23, the sales process really was linked to strategies that revolved around knowing that clients would struggle to find people and knowing therefore other agencies would let them down with no consistency. It's not happening. So we're now in a market where sales is about displacement, and very few salespeople in recruitment know how to displace a competitor, but they're very good at waiting for a competitor to fail. Whether that competitor's internal talent, an advert, or another agency, a waiting strategy today has got zero return on investment. Whereas when candidates were in short supply, everyone was bouncing back from COVID and hiring with abundance. You thought you were selling, but really you were waiting.
you transacting,
And that's why the optimism at the beginning of this year disappeared quite quickly, because the things that had served people so well, that were waiting strategies with a little bit of relationship building, just didn't work.
So tell me about displacement then. What do you mean by that?
Positioning yourself in a way that you define either, the easy thing to define is better. People don't really buy better anymore because everyone's saying better. What people buy is different. To being able to position yourself different in terms of a proposition that allows you to get access to people, to talk to them about changing how they choose to do something like recruit, displace a process that they followed for a long time and replace it with something different.
But you have to truly be different though, don't you? And the problem I'm seeing at the minute in the market is that there is no real USP for the majority of people, recruitment agencies, right? They all say they're either disrupting the industry or, but we're in a time now where it's so easy to be different and differentiate your product and your proposition and your offering. And there's so many people who talk openly on platforms like mine with ideas that you can implement into your business to be different, and they still don't do it. And there's still, the answer is, just we're here to disrupt the industry. By doing what? The same thing that everyone else is doing. Or they buy that new bit of tech that's supposed to disrupt the recruitment process because recruitment's broken. No, okay. So what are we doing about this? How are we doing it? Why do you think sales has died off in recruitment as an industry?
Well, I think it's died off for a lot of the reasons that Jeremy's talking about. Yeah, because let's face it, it was easy.
Mm-hmm.
I think most of us who were in recruitment businesses, certainly when we came back from COVID, most people that I've talked to about that will all say it was probably the easiest time in my career. It was.
But let's think kind of pre-COVID though, recruitment, because I started in 2014 in recruitment, and I set my business up in 2017, and it was a sales business back then. How it was operating and that kind of thing. And I think sort of around that 2018, 2019 time is where, certainly for me, I started going like, this isn't a sales business. We're doing this wrong. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we should be just bashing the phones and like ringing a gong and all that bullshit. But that's what the industry was, and I feel like that's what people romanticize about now. They're romanticizing about 10 years ago when everybody was a salesperson and they had suits and ties, and it was all about KPIs and leaderboards. And where have those people gone? And where are those? The generation that now, they're not like that anymore. That's the bit that I think is like. So when you say things like people can't sell anymore, what do you think a salesperson is lacking in recruitment today?
Well, I think that's, in a way, I think that's we need to almost break that down into two or three things. Personally, just putting it out there, I've always loved a gong, and any office of mine's got to have a gong. However, I do take your point about the fact that the whole sort of sales approach and the hello.
I saw that picture of you putting up your thing in your living room, mate. Your expo stand in your living room.
Look, I can't take it. I can't take all that away. Some of it's got to stay. But I think you're talking about the whole sort of the way that people sell has changed and evolved, and sales has changed. Yeah, it has. But I think what we're seeing now is the culmination of a few issues actually, and actually think I'm going to try not to sort of drone on too long. But if we think about what happened back in the last recession, so 2008, 2009 financial crash, there's actually most recruitment consultants that have come into recruitment businesses who are in those businesses now. I think anyone who was in the market 2008, 2009, 2010 can't remember a time when it was that bloody hard, because at that time, we had 400, 500 applications for each job over a weekend. Unemployment was insane. Clients had just vanished into thin air. There practically were no clients. You had downward margin pressure from people running around offering 500 quid flat fee, or I'll do it for a chocolate bowl, or whatever they were out there offering. And actually, what that did, that pressure cooker, cooked people who were really bloody good at selling, because it was a survival of the fittest. Now, I think if we wind that forward a few years to where we are now, actually most consultants that are now in our businesses have not kind of gone through that kind of experience. So actually now, to say that market's hardening, there are fewer vacancies around, clients are not as actively recruiting. A lot of what Jeremy's saying there with where you were talking about the fact that you've now got to push competitors out, displace them in order to win business.
Right.
We've got quite a skills gap, and I think there are probably a lot of consulting businesses that are not used to having to do that. So I would predict that certainly the next year or so probably looks quite good for people like yourself. Actually,
So isn't that post-COVID bubble then? I mean, is that, and then you were saying that, but essentially you sound like I was saying this was, we were taking orders. Yeah, they were orders. It's exactly so. But there, and that
They thought they were sales.
Yeah, exactly. And that is those solid people are still around in those businesses now. I'm assuming. But people are not survived in those roles in the current climate. But I'm assuming we've got an issue then within the industry of people, like you say, bringing that together. People that have not been through that. They came into the industry when it was like cemented.
No, people are scared to do business development. Like the conversations I'm having, especially with the solos of the people who have just set up recently or been set up for the last 2 years, they're scared to do business development. So they're talking to me, I want to get a business development person, but they don't realize, we very well get a business development person from South Africa, but you're the business owner, you're the person that really should be selling and having a resource backing you up, because you're the one who's going to build those relationships with the clients. There's no magic bullet out there to say, okay, well, I'm going to get business development person, so that this is going to be my silver bullet. It doesn't work that way. No.
Let's take a short break for a moment from this incredibly interesting podcast to hear about the 4 recommendations I've got for you again for your growing, scaling and ambitious recruitment business. First recommendation I've got for you is to take your commission more seriously, and the only way to really do that effectively is to deal with Carl at Conquest. Carl and the team really have their finger on the pulse with everything to do with commissions for your business, how much your guys are going to earn, how much they're currently tracking to earn, what your competitors are paying, what competitive landscape is out there, what your commission structure should look like. If you want to take commission seriously, and doing so will attract the right talent to your business and increase performance, get in touch with Carl at Conquest. Another recommendation I've got for you is Ben Fielding at Quinset. Now, we know in 2025 and onwards, email deliverability is more important than it's ever been before. With so much spam and junk mail and the amount of outreach messages that just don't land where they're meant to, sometimes your agency messages can get lost in the shuffle. You don't want to be in the junk mail. You don't want to be outside of the focused inbox. You don't want to be sending interview invites and having to ask your prospects and your candidates to check their junk. So if you want to sort that problem out and you want to continue to grow and scale your recruitment business, get in touch with Ben Fielding at Quinset. My next recommendation to you is Ross Thompson and the team at Infinity Staff Global. Infinity Staff Global are an employer of record who specialise in finding you staff based out in South Africa, but that work for you. Outsourcing and offshoring is the secret to growing and scaling a recruitment business in 2025 and onwards. And I highly recommend that you consider South African staff for your recruitment business, be it in a sales capacity, i.e. 180 or 360 degree recruiters, be it marketing, be it administrative functions, back office support, anything that you might need for your recruitment agency. Get in touch with Ross and the team on the details in the description. Final recommendation I've got for you is Matt Fox at Exitus Advisory. Exitus Advisory was born out of Matt's journey selling his recruitment business. Along the way, the journey was incredibly difficult. There was a lot of forwards and backwards. There was things that he wished he knew back then that would have changed some of the things that he did with his business. So Matt set up Exitus to help recruitment businesses be exit ready. This is not an overnight thing, and the last thing you want to be doing is having to exit your business, not because you want to, but because you have to. So if you're looking to plan an exit in 3 to 5 years' time, Matt Fox is the guy you need to be speaking to.
Indeed, yeah. There's so much of this is, like you both say, survival of the fittest, the bettest. Actually having a differentiator is quite telling at the times we're in. Actually, the differentiator between a lot of businesses is that you are physically present where your customers are. I say you go and knock on doors, you go to events, you shake people's hands. Which is not a place people have been in for a few years.
But that's something
technology was going to,
because they
worry about.
Consumer behaviour changes over time, right? Yeah. And consumer behaviour directly correlates with kind of how market conditions are. And I think part of the problem is that we're expecting this crop of recruiters that we've got in our businesses to be better salespeople, when you can't. It's unfair to compare them to the 2008 kind of cohort, for the reasons that buying and decision making was very different back then. Information wasn't readily available, and social media wasn't as prevalent as it was, and marketing wasn't anywhere near as kind of influential as it is now. We're in a world now where actually people make buying decisions based on what they see, taste, and hear about, more than they do what they're told about by a silver-tongued salesperson. Oh, let me tell you about this best thing I've got, that kind of thing, right? And I've seen it that where you've got these businesses that are recruitment businesses that have like really pushed into the outbound sales model, and the people working there are miserable, and the outputs are miserable, and the candidates and the processes are being let down and are miserable, and the clients are miserable. You might be making revenue as a short-term revenue kind of model, for the reason that actually you're sort of forcing a square peg into a round hole. Because I've always been of the opinion that recruitment's a professional service, not a sales job, like an accountancy job. So you sell, you're a salesperson, you know, and Adol's a salesperson, but you're not just salespeople, you're accountancy professionals, right? Mm-hmm. In the same way that you're a recruitment professional. That's what you do. You sell, of course you sell, but you also market. You're a technical specialist in what you do. You also sell. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's that mindset that I think is missing. That's the mindset I think is missing. Because the recruiters out there right now, don't feel like they're professional services people because post-COVID they were just taking orders. They struggle to open out a conversation on a business development call because they don't feel confident enough to be like, listen, I'm a professional in what I do. Let's talk workforce planning. Let's talk strategy. Let's talk how many of your team are you displacing with AI. Let's talk about automation. Let's talk about what your strategic view is for your team and what's the leadership view and what you guys are doing they can't have that conversation. The best they can manage is, are you hiring?
They need to build the relationships. It comes down to building relationships, networking. People buy from you. They don't buy, like, what's the difference between recruiter A and recruiter B? 15%, 15% can do the database, can do the database. People actually genuinely buy from people. And that's why networking and building a relationship in your circle of influence is important.
I believe the opposite.
Go on.
People are back and maker. People have moved away from buying in Picker because people buying from Picker, yes, and they're making the decisions and the ways and motion and go about. Enterprise is new and true, non-fee orientated procurement, which is why they thrive. Portals, which is why there are PSAs, as well as MSPs, as well as RPOs, because any core governance to our decision about something for a business as important as recruitment is linked to a relationship between a person and a person. And then when you get to the more transactional end of things, people buy from those who've got a solution to their problem, that people that they like. And that's what creates the differentiation. Differentiation is a behavior, it's not a brochure. So when you behave differently, you can be a dick, but if you've got a solution, I'm buying it. You could be lovely, but if you don't have a solution to my problem, I'm probably not going to buy it.
Yeah, see, I fundamentally disagree with that, but I hear what you're saying because you're right. What I like about you with what you say is you come with receipts. You're absolutely right. There's RPOs, there's portals, all that sort of stuff. But I'll counter that with they also don't work very effectively, and are a great enterprise solution, but the majority of the UK economy, 90% of the UK economy, is made up of SMBs. If your recruitment agency is purely focused on servicing FTSE listed blue chip businesses, you're not going to do well because the majority of the revenue that's being moved about at the minute, the invoices that are being generated, are those SMBs. They're the ones that are hiring. They're the ones that will let you come in and talk to me about strategy and give me your insights and that kind of thing. Yeah. They're the ones where people buy from people they like, or people buy from people like them. Relatability or likability. And the emotion comes first, followed by the facts. Like, I want this car because I like this car.
Yes.
But also it's a lower insurance group and it's got good MPG. They don't go with a list of, I need insurance group 40, this is an enterprise person stuff.
This is to the car, not the seller.
Yeah.
Right.
But
So
we're
to
not
the other
set-
side,
But in
I
this
was
first
getting
instance,
to
as a recruiter, you're not selling yourself to this person.
You used to, but that's why they're struggling, because that's not what people are buying. We're in a highly risk-averse market where everything is volatile, and when everything around me is telling me it's safer to stand still than it is to make a decision, processes take longer, decisions get deferred, because the false impression in some recruitment businesses is there is no difference between a relationship and a friendship. And a relationship is actually revolving around business understanding. At the moment, talk to a business owner and an SMB about what is your goal for this business over the next 5 years. That's now a relationship rather than which football team you support.
Yeah.
So when you have people who are over fixated on the friendship element of the relationship without genuinely understanding their business, its goals, its objectives, its challenges, they can't lock the relationship to the achievement of the end goal. That the business owner you get emotionally attached to.
Interesting.
So the emotional attachment linked to a consultant who's got a German Shepherd, and I've got a German Shepherd, and we often talk to each other about different types of treats, and the consultant thinks that they're getting something, and 6 months later, this person still hasn't spent any money. They keep saying, I just hired a marketing director from Michael Page. Now, why are you working with Michael Page? It wasn't that
People need to say it's at that next level. So yes, speaking about for people, but it's that commonality. So forming that relationship and then being the topic of difference. I think you've got to build a relationship and then build
opens the
value.
dialogue because
Correct.
it is the sale.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think that's where,
I think it's a
that's where there's
blend.
interchange with what you said, because it was quite polarized. Actually, being able to that people from people that's simplify that people will open the door to someone and have a conversation, and if they like them, then you can move the conversation further, and that's when that starts to shift. But
It's called rapport building. Like that was key 101. I'm going drop in a sales 101. My first thing, I'm on a Teams meeting. I'm usually sitting in Australia in the evening doing a UK meeting. My very first question is, "Oh, how's the weather today?" It breaks a little because you guys honestly like to enjoy the weather. So it's a way to start building that rapport, and then go through the steps.
Rapport is level 1 in trust building. There's 10 levels to building trust. If you go in at 1 and somebody says, yeah, well, I'll talk to you again. Yeah, that was nice. Yeah. And you decide to call them now because there was thunder or there was cricket, or they're just the trigger to go, this is the call. And we stay at level 1, we iron in a relationship that revolves around level 1 likability.
So you're
you're
effectively friend zoning yourself.
Correct.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like you're not going in for the kill. You're friend zoning yourself. You're fully just like, no, I'll be a nice guy forever. Yeah.
You need to network and build those relationships. It's not about just, okay, well, I'm going to become your friend. It's not that. You need to, as you said, take it to that next step.
You know that, and you know that, we know that. It's do the sales force of today understand? Like very rarely would you see, welcome to an induction in recruitment. We're going to talk about relationships. We're going to talk about the 10 tiers of how we build trust and how to do that over a 12-week period. It'll be on the phone.
Yeah.
We build you a call.
You lost half the room with the phone in it. That's the challenge.
Or we create an authentic video on LinkedIn where they're holding our pet duck and we're talking about what life is like being us and we're being a human, and then someone else who's got a duck, they like go, I really like your
my
duck.
duck friend.
So that's
Really like your duck.
So we connect over a duck, and then we call them and we talk duck, and we're just like getting ducked over by a process that isn't actually generating an outcome because there wasn't enough investment in helping me to understand what does the performance of relationship building look like, how is it structured, how does one thing lead to the next, and how do I go from being likable, so it's likability, to then demonstrating capability, to then demonstrating credibility, to then demonstrating authority, to then demonstrating benevolence. But when you go through the tiers of this is how we build trust in a business world, that doesn't happen unless I'm a picture. But that doesn't happen in agencies because it's just, when I was a kid, manager, just used to like take them for a beer,
So shut.
have a chat, build rapport, and not consciously aware of what was the rest of the process because the most visible thing was, all right, Dave, hey up, and let's have a pint.
Yeah, but that's where through COVID, we've lost that. We've gone from face-to-face meetings or meet up for a coffee or a thing to doing a lot of online. So that's hence why I spend a lot of time here in the UK, because I think building that connection face-to-face is important.
But this is that step away from kind of just the relatability, familiarity piece you're talking about, to kind of, okay, hang on a minute, that was a nice touch, like this person, you making the journey, anybody traveling to go and meet a prospect demonstrates a level of, I could have called you, could have emailed you, I could have just done a Teams call, but I haven't. I've traveled to you. I've blocked out so many hours of my day to dedicate that to traveling and coming to see you. That is a way of demonstrating trust.
Level 4, and that's significant.
But the problem you have with that, though, is that, and I know this from kind of some of the recruitment leaders I've spoken to, they're actively encouraged not to do that anymore because it's not productive. It's more productive to pick up the phone for 6 hours of the day and not speak to a single soul than it is for you to sit in the car, go to see a client, have a really good meeting, and come back 6 hours later. You know what I mean? So what's driving this kind of KPI obsession?
I love it. He loves a goal. I love a KPI. You should be super obsessed about KPIs
because they.
But you define the KPI properly, though. You don't define KPIs as you need to make 50 phone calls in a day. I don't get who the fuck you for.
But no
Do you know what I mean?
But I don't think anyone's ever made 50 phone calls in a day. have they?
No.
That's the, yeah, I think we have these targets in place. And that's a problem in a lot of recruitment businesses, because you've got these targets in place, but actually they don't mean anything.
Yeah.
And no one's ever made 50 calls a day. But it's almost like we just seem to say, well, that's the expectation, because that's what people used to tell me to do.
Yeah.
And I cocked that up and I didn't achieve it. But anyway, now I'm going to give you the same.
But in
targets.
doing
It's
that, you know,
crazy.
trying to hit that, I hit my goals, and it's like, you know, that kind
I
of
think if you set a target, if you set a message, say, right, you need to do that, they will do it at the cost of everything else. So they might hit the quantity that you want to hit, but the quality might not be there.
Yeah.
And actually being able to rank and rate the potential leads, especially if it was BDM tip to you, I'd say, these are the golden gooses here. These are the ones we really want to go for. And it could be one person spent 4 days working all around one or two of those, and building those relationships and finding ways to connect yourself more and more with that potential opportunity. They probably did more successful than made for it to call or send 500,000 emails, or a lot of them try and do at the minute. And put 50 LinkedIn posts in, and then
I think the activity needs to be linked to the results. So I'll bring you an example of my healthcare recruiters. They have to onboard 10 staff, and I'm saying, okay, well, we tried something because of the manager said, let's do this. We want you to do 5 interviews a day, Monday through Friday, because that's going to result in you onboarding 5 people, so 1 person, and that did not work because it worked, but the quality of candidate that came on board, we couldn't use anyone, so it was pointless us putting that KPI in place.
The real KPI defines utilization, not quantity.
Correct.
So the KPI defines 40% of the people we register should go to work for us within 3 minutes of registration. And now he got a KPI that tracks something which is time bound, is tracking something which is qualitative. You can then drive a quantity to see what compromise there is on the KPI. So you increase the standard, say let's do 3 a day, and if 40% starts to drop to 32%, we're now compromising the input because we're compromising the output because we're subtracting from out the input device.
Exactly.
And it's the relationship between the two that's the focus.
And then take that one step further and combine that with financial data to see when you need to start doing those incentives and when you need to start doing them in order for it to transfer into the numbers and get the budget because you need.
What have you seen with what you do? You're seeing the spectrum of performing businesses to once performing and now are on a decline, right?
Yeah.
And we spoke a lot about things like management accounts and the importance of knowing your forecasts and stuff like that. What are the ones that are doing incredibly well? What are they doing differently from what you can see and what visibility you have?
They made decisions quickly, number one. And they didn't just sit there and go, I think it's going to turn. They made decisions quickly. Retained search, definitely doing better. Contractor books, spread of geographic mix. So that could be countries. It could be not just all in one particular market. And a mix of clients, definitely a mix of clients. You've got one concentration with very few clients. All you need is one client to turn off the tap and you're off. The ones that have done well have kind of pivoted and done really well and have a workforce that were able to adapt and change the way that they worked. We've got some that really did bury theirs in the sand, became very transactional, we've seen some whopping great big overdrawn directors' loan accounts, lots of debt. And even if we're seeing green shoots now and things are improving, it's going to take those businesses a long time to trade out that, a long time. And they're now in survival. I think, this is the time when they need to reassess their sales process because I think they're, you do go for sometimes low hanging fruit, but it's at the bigger play. They need a better strategy. And they were burying their head in the sand and not kind of talking to the right people and just thinking, 2024 was all about cutting costs, going for every single line, making sure that you were as lean as possible. And we kind of went into the new year. And I think that's where the optimism came from. Like, okay, I'm as lean as I can be. This is it. I've got a really low cost base. But actually the sales didn't come in. I'm like, well, it doesn't matter if you've got a lean cost base. You still need some sales. And I think that it was like, crap. And then it went into panic and fight or flight mode. And the ones that did well have fought and have done well.
Yeah.
It's interesting, actually. You say that you're talking about client concentration and people that really sort of got their house in order last year and then sort of came into this year just hopefully thinking that everything would be great. And actually, I'm thinking about one client I've been working with, who I won't name, but they were actually in quite a difficult position earlier this year because they'd sat there and looked at their business and thought, well, look, we've got all these preferred supplier agreements, we've got relationships, with everyone, all the key players in our sector. But they just weren't really just weren't getting business from those relationships. And when you go through and you look at every single PSL that they're on, there was such a level of, I suppose, it just wasn't real reality. It was almost just an assumption that because we were on a PSL, these clients are going to start giving us, they'll just phone us. They'll just give us all this business. Complacency, that's the word I was looking for, yeah. But actually, getting on the PSL in some ways is the easy bit.
Yeah.
And
this
is sort of come back to this whole point of the business development, the sales is almost kind of sort of died a death to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
How many agencies have got contracts with clients where they're just not getting the business, and it's because we're not out there loving these people enough. And
or sometimes actually, because again, this happened to my business, but also in spending a lot of time in this TA space, they will put you on the PSL to just stop you specking. They will. This happened to us. We had a big thing with me and my old business partner, and I'm going, look, we're fishing in the wrong pond here. We were on PSLs for big corporates. I'm talking, the big 4, top 10 law firms and accountancy firms, right? Your Grant Thorntons and your EYs and KPMGs, EasyJet, and this nuclear firm, and this one. No fucking business out of any of them. And I'm like, why are we spending so much time business developing that when the reality is that the people paying our invoices are the local SMEs and the SMBs that are hiring in our niche, which was accountancy and finance. They're the ones that are paying us. They're the ones that are doing business with us. We need to focus there. No. Want to go after the vanity stuff. We're working with, my client is a leading whatever, right? And then I'm starting to talk to these TA leaders and stuff. And I'm like, tell me about the specs of how are you guys, as an easy way to get rid of specs. What's that? Just put one on the PSL. Like, what? Yeah, put one on the PSL. Terms of engagement are you do not spec to any line managers. And the number of agencies are, oh yeah, we'll sign that. Yeah, no worries. Do not mail shop that client. They're going to give us work. And then they're like, we chuck them a bone every 6 months so that they don't get pissed off and come off the PSL. We don't hire their candidates, but just makes them go away.
Comes back to that false definition of the relationship.
That's it.
Correct.
I'd encourage people to get a report. Most people use Xero, right? Count and piston, but to get a sales transaction report by customer from say 3 years ago and compare it to today and see actually how your shifting customers has been and why. What is that? Is it, oh, actually, I didn't realize we're not getting much out of that client. And it turns out that, Joe Bloggs was actually the consultant from 3 years ago and was nurturing that relationship. They've left now. And where's that business gone? Actually,
probably with Joe Bloggs, but he or she at the other. You just haven't realised because no one was touching it.
And typically, if you're on a PSL, you've had to drop your prices a little bit because they're expected prices. So I ran a construction recruitment business for many years, and I was like going after the big guys. I got probably the biggest contract in my life on a massive road project. And I thought, yeah, great. You think how much work I got out of that? Not much at all. Like I dropped my prices, did everything, I didn't get much out of it. So I think PSLs are a waste of time.
Yeah,
especially for smaller recruiters.
It's like anything though, isn't it? You've got to have an element of due diligence around that because actually, if you've got great, we're going to put you on our PSL. Well, great. How many agencies are on your PSL? On 50. Well, it's not much of a privilege, though, is it? You kind of got to ask questions. But then I guess there's a lot of people not doing that.
But this again comes down to this exactly that, right? It's the leadership needs to. Oftentimes, the leadership have never had to do that before, and so they're not training their, sort of boots on the ground recruiters to do the same, and then they're KPIing them in the wrong way, and so they're going, right, I've been told to get on 3 PSLs this quarter. I did it. I'm on the PSL with JCB. Yeah, brilliant. How many other agencies are on that? Don't know. How much work are you guaranteed to get out of that? Don't know. What have you dropped the rates down to? Really low. How big is the rebate? The whole year. Okay, brilliant. Why are we celebrating?
100%.
Yeah. What on
It's
earth?
the dopamine of yes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rather than
But-
the sanity of.
But we have such a, and this isn't me flying the TA HR flag here, but we have such a low opinion of TA leaders and TA because we see them as failed recruiters, that we treat them as if they're thick. But the reality is they are running circles around a lot of agencies right now. I know a recruitment business who signed a PSL with rebates attached to it. And in turn, they're like, yeah, no, it's fine. It's 18%. That's a good rate. That's a good fee. After the rebates, based on agency spend and whatever, the actual amount that they were earning on that was like net 11%. So you worked for 11% per vacancy.
So is their accountant modelling that for them?
Don't even. We had exactly that first conversation, right? But like, these guys are very, very clever, and they've got the backing of, in-house law firms and legal counsel and procurement specialists who are backing them up, and they know the tricks, man. They know what to do to agencies. So when they're breaking up the phone, they'll be like, "Oh, I saw you with your picture of your duck," and like, "Yeah, that's really cool. I got a duck too. Let's be duck friends." They're like, "Yeah, cool. Just I'll put you on the PSL, knowing full well I'm not using you. I'm never going to use you, but I've stopped you from speccing to us, and you've signed a non-compete, so you can't headhunt from our business anymore either.
Yes, but
And we're going to tie you up in litigation if you try."
there's businesses that they would be the ideal customer for.
Yeah.
And the ideal client, and then there's others.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not the right fit. And if you don't know who your ideal client is, and you go do the analysis of things like saturation, conversions, profitability, we could chase things because there's lots of jobs. But if you fill 4% of the jobs, and it takes 30% of your time, so your productivity per desk is terrible. Right?
I've got a question. I'd love your guys' thoughts on this because again, you're all in like at different stages of business ownership and stuff. I fell foul to this, and I'll hold my hands up and be like, I absolutely was not ready to be a business owner when I first set up a business. Do you think it's too easy to set up a recruitment business? And is that a large contributing factor to why the majority of agencies feel like they're struggling right now? Because incubator models, all you need to do is bill. Investors, oh yeah, I'll salary you for 6 months, just go and bill. I feel like business owners, newer business owners, maybe even post-COVID onwards, are just not savvy enough as business owners. Do you know what I mean? They don't know enough about forecasting, about L&D and investment in those things, about technology, about how the world works, right? To be going into a something as important as business ownership. What do you guys think of this? With all the things that you guys do and the different people you speak to, is that just me being like?
I don't think it's too easy. I think a lot of people launch recruitment businesses without really understanding what's involved. And I think that there are, and I think a lot of the sort of the incubators have played a part in building this perception that it's really easy. Because I think you do find a lot of recruitment businesses that have been launched by people who were good consultants, but what they don't understand when they launch is that there's just so much other stuff that goes with that.
But they were looked after, right? In those will be companies
Absolutely,
that had big back offices, compliance, and all
Control,
of that stuff.
yeah.
And I think there's to support that your point. I think actually there's a level of naivety that means that they're not upskilling themselves. And I think actually this is where good partners come into play. And I'm not saying that because I'm being biased here, but actually you partner with the right people. They will teach you, they will guide you. I don't know everything. I've made lots of mistakes. I still make lots of mistakes. And, you just learn along the way. And actually you just hope that those mistakes aren't too bad and you catch yourself and you can fix and correct it. But I think you have to partner with the right people in order to grow. And the businesses that tend to do better are the ones that do grow. Like they do want to learn about finances. They do want to learn about tech, marketing, whatever it is. And the ones that just think, actually, I'm just going to bill, they've literally, you know, they're not able to adapt and they're not able to see the different aspects of a business.
They come in with rose-colored glasses, think, I'm a good recruiter, not understanding that you have to do the business development. You've got to get clients in before you recruit. So who's going to do that part of your business?
Yeah, I'm not personally. I think it's far too easy for anyone to set up a business. It's insane that you can go and set up a limited company, call yourself a director, start trading, getting money, and then start borrowing money off people. And it's not for an entire year that someone, a professional accountant, kind of looks at you, yeah, there we go. And then as you grow up, you get a real accountant and they go, what the fuck is this? And you realize your business might be saddled with, like you say, director loading down. And all of a sudden, I didn't know any of this stuff. How was I supposed to know? And fall back on that. How was I supposed to know? Unfortunately, you set up a limited company, you've taken on the responsibility, but none of that.
I'll go you through this right now. This is my, like, I don't like to consider myself a thick person by any stretch of the imagination. I absolutely shouldn't have set up a business when I did. I was too naive. And even now I'm still incredibly naive with a lot of stuff. But you're absolutely right. The level of responsibility and the things that you're agreeing to when you become a director of a business. We went through an incubator, and the incubator we went through were great, but they didn't explain any of the, listen, what you're doing by saying that you're a director is that you're taking responsibility for this, and actually if this goes wrong, then this is your liability. And you know, when you have a business fail, and you have an overdrawn director's loan account, and a bill for 150 grand comes and hits you in the face, that does something to you. And you think, fuck, man, how many people are going through this? And then you start looking into it, and you're like, actually, a lot of people are. And that's where I have this angle of like, it's sad to me because actually we were really bad for it. We didn't invest in ourselves. We invested in trainers to come in and train the team. We invested in like tech people to come in and change our tech around. But any time anybody tried to talk to us about, you know, some sort of, not Ned work, but like, you know, what about you guys? What are you guys doing? And how do you know which way the market's moving? And, you know, invest in yourself as business owners. We just never did because we all just, now we know it's a real.
But I do think though also there's a real thing, and I noticed this actually. You know, as Poonam said, you know, that I work with quite a few startups as well. But the problem is with an incubator relationship, of course, they're immediately taking in some cases 30, 40. In fact, actually, I know one business at the moment is trying to navigate their way out of a contract because, well, actually, if they start billing more, they've got to a point where they're going to end up taking about 40% of their, you know, of their revenue, and their view is, well, what's the point of filling more?
You might as well just park at that.
But I think as soon as you start talking to a new start, or if you've got like a couple of good recruiters who started a recruitment business, you know, they're full of enthusiasm, full of passion for it. You start talking to them about a Ned, they shit themselves, and they think we're not big enough for that. That's going to be super, super expensive. So it's a bit like, you know, some of the support that you guys do. I mean, I have almost like a light touch kind of sort of support arrangement for people like that, and they can just sort of, you know, run stuff past, you know, and like, what would I do with this?
So it's nice to have that, isn't it? It's nice to have somebody to lean on and stuff like that.
Yeah, but as soon as you start saying, oh right, you need a non-exec director, they're like, what? Yeah, but it sounds almost sort of scary, doesn't it?
The key with that kind of in a relationship though is that you're aligning yourself with someone who is incredibly competent at what they're doing. They're very conscious of it and they understand how to explain it to someone who doesn't understand it. And some of the incubators I've had clients who've been part of, these guys have a cranking machine. There's so many assumptions about what you know. And I've had clients think, do you understand this stuff really? No, and they're going down. So it was no one ever sat down and done PL with you. No one's ever sat and done EBITDA. They're like, they think we understand these terms. And they've invested in us and, there's a lot of money coming our way. And I go, I feel stupid asking the question. What should I do? I'm not doing an NDQ business, right?
It's got 20 people that they put their last 100 quid into, and they're betting to see which one turns into 10 grand. And if 7 didn't fall over. Now, there was one last week on LinkedIn that put in their update, bill 250 grand, earn 218.
I saw you having an argument, shall we say?
They didn't trade, right? Because it's grossly unfair to use the word earn, because that then creates a perception for somebody that earn means you just take it out of the company, and then you go,
and it's yours.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, look, it's just about, but that makes it too easy to start a recruitment business. That's not about the ease of starting a recruitment business. It's the ease with which you can convince people, if you build 250 grand, just come over here, we'll own 218, life will be great. They could own zero on 250, 218 grand there, haven't
Worry about startup costs or corporation tax. So sure. So that's my question for the accountant. How many new clients have you taken on board in the past? And they've been in a position where either before you or they come to you because they're in trouble and they can't afford to pay the corporation tax, got all the that.
I mean, so what Azuki does is we give everybody a timetable. So you know exactly when your VAT payments are going out, when your PAYE payments are, when our corp tax payments are, to help them plan. And we'll put that in their diaries. But that's us helping you and guiding you. A lot of people are actually quite savvy and don't need to do that. I will say that when you set up a company, everyone, there is so much seriousness that goes with setting up a company. And the biggest thing is you've got fiduciary duties, and everyone seems to forget that. But as a director, there are certain rules and laws and regulations that you have to adhere to, and you have to be ethical, and you have to make sure that you're acting in the right way in the business and making sure that you're not being biased and not paying people but paying yourself, and all of that stuff comes with a quite big responsibility. And if you don't understand that, go and speak to the right people who will help and upskill you in terms of what you need to.
Or put the rails up as well, right? So you can't kind of colour outside the lines. A couple of my customers use this service with Money Squirrel, and they know the owner. She's amazing. What we call Andrea. Money Squirrel, we set up 2 savings accounts, business savings account. Money comes in, 20%. So it's automatically taking that money out of your sort of account, so you can go, I'm ignoring that, and it helps you tune and predict, and it's so clever. But it's putting the rails up so you can't make a mistake. Or if you do want to borrow out of that, you're consciously going, you taking in, we might sell 10 grand, right?
But I think so many agencies, though, well, actually the number of agencies in the country continues to increase, but actually the number of recruiters doesn't. So it's just like this montosis of a 10-person business which becomes 8 and 2 over here, and then the ends 5 and then 2 over here, and just is like this. Yeah. And that happened most when the economy's caught.
Yeah.
Because commission's down, chin is down, KPIs are up, the whip is out, and that drives people to know they'd have to do some of my own, jump ship, incorporate, try and dread a customer with me. The chase then is on for cash flow. Quarterly VAT return is a quarter away, so I've got some cash coming in, and it would be nice if, and then a little bit gets splurged that probably shouldn't, of us. Forever now the chase, because that's the chase. Sales process isn't about customer onboarding, customer retention, the future. Sales is about, you just do it at 12%. Right?
Low hanging fruit.
It takes 14 days, do it 12. Yeah. And now we're chasing the cash flow without actually having a cash flow. Yeah. Just making assumptions about what will come in and won't come in.
I've said a few times on the pod around like how my business went from relationship based embedded to low hanging fruit to we were just picking rotten fruit and veg up off the floor and calling it a fee. Like, do you know what I mean? We knew this ain't going nowhere. We knew that this person's not going to pay, but just fucking put it through anyway. Like we need it. We got that's going out. That loan's coming out. We need to do this. We need to do that. And that was exactly that. It was we know what we're supposed to be doing. We know how where we've been most effective. But man, these bills are piling up pretty quick, aren't they? We need to just pay these. So okay, solve all that. Let's just go here and do these. We're probably like 2 months away from being like, should we just start invoicing Amazon and Google and seeing if they pay? Like a desperate attempt to just get something. You know what I mean?
But to bring it back to positivity, there are a lot of people doing it right. A lot of solos have smashing it, and they are scaling. So they're building their business with strong foundations, and so they are.
I'm seeing the difference though. The ones that are now starting to do that, they're a lot more astute and not so naive as business owners, and they're taking advantage of the people that are out there giving away information for free and join my community and do you know what I mean? Yeah. Maybe they're not ready to spend money on a Ned yet. Yeah. But what they are incredibly comfortable doing though is going, I don't know enough And so, yeah, I'm gonna follow Jeremy on LinkedIn, and next time he's giving the talk at Team, I'm gonna make sure I'm there for that one. And actually, I listened to Ben on that podcast, and that was really important. Let me just use that free tool for the email thing, make sure I don't get caught up in that. You know, oh, you did a webinar, I'm gonna listen to that. You did a podcast, I'm gonna listen to that. You're doing the talk at the expo, I'm gonna go to that. You know, that's what they're doing now, rather than just being like, no, I know everything, mate. I'll build 50. You know,
Information
I'll
is
build
everywhere.
50K a quarter a page. I can do this on my own. I don't need you. They're almost like they've had their asses kicked in knots to be like, I don't know enough. Like, I don't really.
What you need to remember is that a lot of recruiters, customers, are also potentially in that world because they just don't have vacancies at the moment.
Yeah.
They might be hiring, or they do, and they're trying to hire themselves and trying to do it on the cheap and fit me on Facebook group or using LinkedIn or Indeed or something, and they're getting by. But actually, if there is useful guides, content, how to hire yourself, I know several recruiters who said they've made several fantastic businesses of literally teaching clients how to not need a recruiter, but by showing them how complex and nuanced it can be, and how to absolutely nail it. And when these clients might go up and go, please use these guys. These guys are amazing. I've tried doing it the right way, the best way.
But that's the consultancy model 101, right? That's the consultancy model 101. Law firms do that, accountancy firms do that. Here's how to file a VAT return. Not easy, is it? No, fucking pay me and I'll do it for you. Yeah. No, you can send a cease and desist. Of course you can. Here's a template. Go and use it. Oh, you're struggling. You're worried that they might not listen to you. Cool. Here's our fees. Do you want to just pay that? Like, you know, your courses, the sessions that you do for free with places like Team. You go in and you talk, and these guys are sat there and they're going, oh, fuck, I don't know. I can't train my team. I need this guy to do it. Yeah, right?
But none of this is rapport.
Yeah. No, you're right.
None of this is likability. This is ascension of relationship building that goes beyond nice guy.
I like this guy. I am like.
And I agree with all of that. I really, really do. But if I didn't like you, I wouldn't use you. 100%, I agree with that.
But that becomes a personal choice. It's not necessarily the endemic.
No, I do, and I accept that. But I'm going back to Nitin's point about SME business. Most SME businesses are run by one or a small number of people, and SME businesses are the source of most revenue for most recruitment companies. Like, for example, like Rec Tools, brilliant, really, really, really good. But if I didn't like you,
we wouldn't work.
we wouldn't.
Do you
know what I mean?
it wouldn't work. It would,
There's different trigger points, right? So if we're creating a sales process that begins at rapport, then you're going to struggle to get in. If we're building a sales process that begins with somebody interrogating LLM to be able to get some legal related questions answered, that then takes me to a site that has then got some content, and I start to buy into these things, the relationship with the human who I then talk to matters less. I might accommodate somebody who's above the tool because actually they are a gateway to a better tool. So the little tool can step aside once the transaction's complete.
Yeah, you always put up with it. Yeah. But I don't think that's the sales model in recruitment, though, is it?
No.
Because I think in recruitment, the likability of your recruiter or the relatability of your recruiter to the end client and the candidate, it matters.
100%.
It really will matter.
In the sales process that currently exists inside that recruitment business, that's being more and more challenged.
Okay.
I do agree with
But,
you.
yeah, I see where you go with it. Yeah.
I do agree with you on that point. Recruitment, and I would say, is people to people business. That's why AI will never replace a good recruiter, because an AI will use, a recruiter will use AI tools, not to become a better recruiter. That AI should never replace that personal relationship. Are people going to trust an AI to make a hiring decision for somebody that you're going to work in the office with? No, it always has to come back to a person.
AI is already like the trust level for it is already at rock bottom. There's no way the words trust and AI will ever be in the same sentence moving forward, no matter how big the bubble or the boom becomes.
Is it the new
I think you
legislation
have to be careful about saying never.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so you have to, right, so changing legislation, you have to state, if you use AI in the recruitment process, whether it's happening or coming,
you have to tell people you're using AI as part of that
Yeah.
the process.
In New York and in the EU.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time before we follow through though, but
Yeah.
okay. On that then, do you trust NFTs?
No.
Because it's done, right? So if I put the best use case forward for you for an NFT, do you think over time you would learn to trust NFTs?
I just
Or crypto coins?
yeah. Well,
Once trust is broken,
No.
in this day and age, once trust is broken, a technology will die with it. So NFTs could be fantastic, right, in the rec tech space or in what you do. Jeremy creates an NFT. It's Jeremy NFT. There's a limited edition of them. There's only 10 of them, right? You buy it, you own it, it's yours. But what that does is that gives you a certain percentage discount on Rookie to Recruiter for life. That's great. I've got a 10-person business, and that discount to me is now worth maybe £1,000. And I pay 50 quid for this NFT. That's great. But then a 50-person business comes along and go, oi, I want that. I want to put all my guys through Rookie to Recruiter. I'll buy that NFT off you. How much you want for it? Well, it's going to save you £6,000 a month. So I'm going to say to you, give me £5,000 and you can have it. Yeah, cool. What I paid 50 quid for, I've just made £5,000 on. That NFT goes off that way, and that continues to circulate. And every time it does that, he's making money off it. And all he had to do was go, yeah, put my name to an NFT. There's a great use case for NFTs. Would that ever hit the market? Absolutely not, because of the amount of cons and scams that have happened with it. It's not. Same with meme coins or cryptocurrencies. You know, you could turn around and go, actually, do you know what? The economic climate is really unsure. So Michael Page have decided to launch Page Coin. And actually, you can pay 20% fiat currency, or you can pay 10% but in Page currency, because every time we do that, the Page Coin rises, right? And that would put their bottom line and their share value through the roof. But would anyone buy it or trust it? No, because it's a meme coin now, and no one believes in trust those things. AI's running that same line now. The amount of AI scam calls that people get, the amount of AI nonsense that's out there, the amount of tech vendors and rec tech vendors that end up at places like RecFest, at IHR, at Expo, who basically are selling a GPT and a wrapper and have the bottle to stand in front of a tech startup battle and go, this is our new CRM, it's the best CRM in the world. Why? Because it can generate a job advert for you. Like, motherfuckers, what are you doing here? Like, you know, what is this? You're peddling shit. And in every passing expo and every passing thing, people are getting more and more fed up of it. To the point where the way I think it's going to head to is, if you're mentioning AI in your product name and you're talking about AI as a major part of your product, people are just going to fuck off on that. The trust level is on a huge decline, but because it's like no one wants to get left behind, like you said, they're buying this shit because they don't want to be the one that didn't buy this shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think the panic buying is over.
It's over. People are now like, hang on a minute, this is actually pretty crap.
And actually, the conversation's now shifting back more and more to what people really want to talk about, which is automation, efficiency, productivity.
That's it.
AI was just the thing that was enabling something.
So
So the customer would be
small agentic things, yes, great at.
So
Any large scale task, it can't do it. It just keeps falling apart.
It's describing the problem. The customer saying to me, my problem is, what I need AI to do all this stuff for me.
No, you don't.
And then I rephrase it to, what I need to do is have automation, but I'm too lazy to remember the commands I want to put in. So I want an agent I can chat to, like Bob in the office, that knows what I want to do and then triggers all the automation. Just like, yeah, we can do that. Yeah, no problem. Make it feel like, then you can plug stuff, and then we're talking about a website. We'll talk about.
But you know where the problem then becomes is that there's people out there now that will productize that agent building and automation, basically productize it and sell it as an AI tool.
Yeah.
Right?
Just go to
And
buy
more and more that are doing
plug it
this.
into everything you've already got.
This is the point. So
another
because the
tool.
more and more people that are
Needs to
doing
glue it
this,
together.
people are getting fed up of it. So yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think AI and trust will not be in the same combo
But that's
at
fine.
all. With the current trajectory where we're heading.
Exactly. That's like a candidate using AI and a recruiter using AI. So
Yeah.
two AIs talking to each other. Is that candidate actually going to be able to do the job if that AI?
It's just dead internet theory, isn't it? Yeah. It's gaslighting each other.
Conversation at the curry yard.
No, it's true though, isn't it? Really? Yeah. So my AI outreach has been talking to her AI outreach, and she's like, yeah, that sounds great. Let's definitely do a podcast. And I'm like, oh, sick. I've got somebody ready to sign up. And then like we jump on a Teams call, and we're both like, I didn't read the notes. Did you read the notes? No, I didn't read the notes either. Well, your AI seemed to really like my AI, but what are we doing here? Like, what's happening? You know what I mean? Like,
Fake rapport. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Computer report.
Yeah. So maybe Jeremy's right. You don't need to like anyone anymore. Just do business with people you do. Yeah, but
that's
you're right. It's problem solving, isn't it?
Yeah. That's why one of my clients, I've said to my clients, they're looking at either going outsourcing, they're going to use AI. And I'm like, well, it's two different.
Yeah. No, you're not. Yeah.
Basically, an outsourced or a recruiter is never going to be replaced by AI. That recruiter may be really well and able to use AI to help them do a very good job, but you still have to have that relationship.
A shit recruitment business could be replaced by an AI, but it'll be a shit AI. Because again, how many calls do we get from, hi, it's Joanne from HMRC, and or people like, this is the level of unemployment in the UK right now. The scam calls are no longer, there's a Nigerian prince that wants to give you money, or there's every parcel that's being held for you. The scam calls now are, hey, it's such and such from Indeed, I've got a job for you.
But you know that these scams are made to be terrible because they're not trying to commit to you, they're trying to commit stupid. And that's why they put spelling mistakes in it, grammar issues, because if you respond to it,
I get that sense. Yeah.
So if I create an AI agent that actually acted like a human, it might fool you for a moment, but you bail out of my scam after I put some effort into it. So you've got to fall for the most stupid possible scam at the beginning to actually enter the funnel and then never want to get out. So don't take too much from these scams as being.
But my point to take it back to the point though is that due to the level of scams, due to the negative press that AI is having, due to the sheer volume of just every product's an AI product and things like the Expo, there's this level of fatigue building up, and that's where I'm like, I don't think the word trust and AI will ever be in the same sentence. I just don't think, like moving forward, the way we're heading, I don't think there's anyone really looking at that as
though it's being experimented with different use cases.
Yeah.
It won't disappear entirely. It'll start to have a use case that will be invisible to the majority of people, which usually will still do the negotiations. And be much of the judgment-orientated decisions. These laws in the EU, you have to have mapped out the process to show this is the point of human intervention. You'll be able to show it up to an end client, but you're never going to move to get rid of it. Or be able to.
AI is never going to be obsessed with personality.
You probably get rid of a third of the people. But when a third of the people go, recruiters will lose their jobs, and it won't automatically be the shit ones. It'll be the transaction.
All the more expensive ones.
Well,
that's a horrible place to leave it. Let's be a bit positive.
Best to me this analogy of every AI was just imagine this technology as biscuits, right? And then you get the cream filling that makes the custard cream. AI is the cream filling bit, but just elevates it to something normally just a biscuit. It gives it that extra hot and goes, it's not the whole thing. And so weirdest analogy I've got with you.
I heard a good one though. It will just be, AI is the buzzword right now. It will just be another bit of technology. AI is basically this generation's Bluetooth.
Yeah.
I worked in phone sales when Bluetooth hit the market, and Bluetooth was everywhere.
As this generation's Cootie is what it is. A little Microsoft.
But we love to be hysterical in this industry though, about everything. Whether it's, I don't know, agency workers regulations, everyone.
Oh, do you remember GDPR was going to kill the industry?
Yeah, that's it. Like
hysteria behind
the
that.
drum about, that's it, we're all going to be living in a mud hut by Tuesday. We're not going to have jobs. So I think whatever happens, we'll all be here. Won't be doing the thing. It's just the thing's probably going to look different.
The variation of it. Yeah. But to close off, I want to run round and ask for closing thoughts, pearls of wisdom, something you maybe live your life by that you think someone might find inspiring or insightful. Let me just kick us off.
There's a few comments around. There's a couple of things that Jeremy said that I've been really thinking about, and a couple other good comments as well. I really think recruiters need to focus on being really good, being better at what they're already really good at, and focus on those strengths. But if you realise that actually a core pillar of your area might be around finance, it might be around making the best and quick decisions, right? Recognise it. There's probably 3 pillars to a recruitment business. Like and one of them is sales. There's going to be the finance, and there's going to be the maturity of that business that can do things deliberately. So she's trying to make sure they're over for a good B. But yeah, if sales is doing great, if BEMs is doing great, if marketing is great, just do more of what you're doing.
Don't be transactional. Nurture relationships, and not just because it's, you want something out of it. It's not always about, I want something, that's why I'm going to speak to someone. Build genuine relationships, get to know people, keep in touch with people, because you never know when those people are going to come and help you, or they're going to, have a gem for you that's going to elevate you and what's live as.
I'll go back to it and I'll say it again, much to Jeremy's distaste, but recruitment is people to people business. Get off teams, don't do it face to face, even if you have to fly across an ocean. Go visit your clients face to face. So it's the relationship building if you need.
Says the Air Miles extraordinary Qantas. Yeah,
Sponsored by Retail. I would second that. I think if I still had my recruitment business right now, I think one of the key things I'd be doing is looking at every single previous build client and making sure somebody had been out to love them. Because I think in this market, we're not in for a boom anytime soon, I don't think. And hopefully we're not in for a crash either. I think things are just going to be relatively consistent for a little while now. And I think in that time, there's going to be a lot of businesses, a lot of recruiters out there trying to get the clients. If you lose one because of bad service or because you haven't loved them enough, then that's a sorry state of affairs, isn't it? So
it's a shit way to lose someone, isn't it? Just because you didn't call them enough. Yeah.
So from my perspective, that would be my nugget: is get out there and love them.
Last and not least.
Set up automation. Stop spending time with your people.
No.
Be a machine.
Human is so important, right? We've got to stop, though, being so shallow with things we throw out there, like it's all about relationships, without actually being able to define what is a relationship and how is it built, and if I'm dirty about it, how do you measure the quality of a relationship with one other person without it being all out adjectives and perceptions, like actually thinking about what is the ascension of the relationship with, like, and this has
and therefore what becomes the journey to be able to create an ever-increasing level of embeddedness with that person from a business perspective, not just as but
friendships come out of good business, right? Friendships can start good business, but the thing that's in the middle that is good business, that is a different type of relationship, and that's why I'm resistant to mantras, because they don't define you up and keep taking away as being gold.
Yeah, I've just got to be like
without the right interpretation.
Yeah. Yeah. Not fully convinced, but I know what you mean. I know what you're saying.
Like it's because we can so easily all go, it's all about relationships, and it'd be like question time, and it'd be the only time we'll but in our heads, what does it mean? How do you know? How do you begin? What then is the first gate to go through to get closer to doing business? Then what's the next gate?
This is like that 30 seconds sales call thing, isn't it? Where everyone watched the YouTube video and everybody watched each other doing it, and they were like, yeah, that's what we're going to do now. And then they get their 30 seconds and their ass goes because they don't know what to do with it.
They don't know what to say.
They don't. Yeah, I didn't watch that part of the video. Like, I was just impressed by that bit.
They never show you that part of the video.
Yeah, that's the right. Yeah. That's the bit you pay for.
Yeah, that's the selling there. The other thing, that was just like a little magic.
Yeah.
Look at my finger, right?
Yeah.
Do more. I don't know anymore.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Sorry in half. Hang on. It's not in the playbook.
I had that. I had somebody call. It was like, oh yeah. It's like, this is sales call now, 30 seconds. I was like, yeah, go on then. And he was like, oh, okay. So the reason for my call was, and then went just into a normal sales pitch, and I was just like, this is hilarious. Like, you watched the thing, you were like, oh yeah, pattern disruption, and then you don't know what to do with it.
It's because you said yes. You can't have 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Shouting yourself.
Yeah. I know what to do now.
His back.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to play the countdown theme tune then.
Sorry. I've got 7. Oh, guys, gents and ladies, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for making the journey. We'll do this again, but we'll do masterclasses for everybody's nutcasser, please. Yeah, I think that's it. I went completely blank then. Guys, that's everything from us. Thank you for watching, liking, sharing, subscribing, doing all the cool shit that you guys do that allows me to do this as a job. Links to everybody's LinkedIn, everybody's RecTools listing, and everybody's websites and stuff will be in the descriptions below. We'll see you again next time. Thank you. Tristan, did we wake you up?
And that's the end of another episode of Rec Talk. I hope you enjoyed that one thoroughly as much as I did recording it. And I'll leave you with my 4 recommendations that I gave you at the start of this video and in the middle. Get in touch with these guys. They know what they're doing. First recommendation I've got for you is to take your commission more seriously. And the only way to really do that effectively is to deal with Carl at Conquest. Carl and the team really have their finger on the pulse with everything to do with commissions for your business. How much your guys are going to earn, how much they're currently tracking to earn, what your competitors are paying, what competitive landscape is out there, what your commission structure should look like. If you want to take commission seriously, and doing so will attract the right talent to your business and increase performance, get in touch with Carl at Conquest. Another recommendation I've got for you is Ben Fielding at Quinset. Now, we know in 2025 and onwards, email deliverability is more important than it's ever been before. With so much spam and junk mail and the amount of outreach messages that just don't land where they're meant to, sometimes your agency messages can get lost in the shuffle. You don't want to be in the junk mail. You don't want to be outside of the focused inbox. You don't want to be sending interview invites and having to ask your prospects and your candidates to check their junk. So if you want to sort that problem out and you want to continue to grow and scale your recruitment business, get in touch with Ben Fielding at Quinset. My next recommendation to you is Ross Thompson and the team at Infinity Staff Global. Infinity Staff Global are an employer of record who specialise in finding you staff based out in South Africa, but that work for you. Outsourcing and offshoring is the secret to growing and scaling a recruitment business in 2025 and onwards. And I highly recommend that you consider South African staff for your recruitment business, be it in a sales capacity, i.e. 180 or 360 degree recruiters, be it marketing, be it administrative functions, back office support, anything that you might need for your recruitment agency. Get in touch with Ross and the team on the details in the description. The final recommendation I've got for you is Matt Fox at Exitus Advisory. Exitus Advisory was born out of Matt's journey selling his recruitment business. Along the way, the journey was incredibly difficult. There was a lot of forwards and backwards. There was things that he wished he knew back then that would have changed some of the things that he did with his business. So Matt set up Exitus to help recruitment businesses be exit ready. This is not an overnight thing, and the last thing you want to be doing is having to exit your business, not because you want to, but because you have to. So if you're looking to plan an exit in 3 to 5 years' time, Matt Fox is the guy you need to be speaking to.